Well, now it's time for global entertainment, culture, and the arts. And of course, we have Judita Da Silva, our correspondent all the way from London, live joining us to help us tonight, as always. Hello, Judita. I'm beginning to think that your favorite color is perhaps fuchsia pink, something baby pinkish.
It is actually. I'm telling you, for somebody with such a dark heart like me, because I'm so gloomy about everything, I do love pink.
Yeah. It looks great on you, by the way. Let's start in film. Hollywood is reeling in the wake of the revelation of the new AI-generated actress, Tilly Norwood, who has her own Instagram page that is gaining traction online. So, what have the reactions been like?
It's not been good because, first of all, Tilly Norwood is the creation of a Dutch actor called Eline van der Velden. And she said it's an ode to craftsmanship and artistry and she said that she wanted Tilly Norwood to be the next Scarlett Johansson, which ruffled a lot of feathers. Because even SAG-AFTRA, that's the big union for actors in Hollywood, as well as people like Emily Blunt and Whoopi Goldberg have come out and said that this is just a simulation. You can't really even call it a her, it's more of an it. Because to generate the AI simulation, it feeds off on actual human actors who've created a body of work and what it is that they've dedicated their lives to. And from that, AI then simulates an iteration of what is their organic trained talent. So without them, this Tilly could never exist. So you've essentially stolen something that Tilly herself could not generate on her own. So she shouldn't get the credit of an actor because she isn't one. She's a simulation of the experiences and talent of other actors. And they said that they really don't approve of that because you're essentially stealing their IP in a very roundabout way.
You know what, Judita, there's no telling the extent to which AI would go. I hope we won't wake up one day and we have an AI Ngozi Alebu. All right, so what real threats really does this pose to the future of the acting industry and the careers of actors? Because it does seem like this is a fight that's been growing with intensity in recent years.
The joke you actually cracked is actually one of the threats that lies ahead, because it starts with one industry. Because just a couple of weeks ago, we're talking about the AI singer who's gotten a record contract. Now it's this AI actor that could end up getting acting roles. Because think about it, you're in a situation where entertainment is under threat. If it's not Trump's tariffs, it's the fact from the move from studios to streaming. People are not going to the cinema anymore. People don't have enough money to indulge in films the way they used to. So therefore studios are not paying as much money. So studios are going to be thinking, how do we cut costs? First, even from discussions, I know my brother's always said that probably the first people to go will be stuntmen, because once you have AI simulations, studios don't have to pay insurance. They don't have to pay extra wages. They can make AI work forever. You don't have to worry about work hours and time off and, paid leave. So even if it's gone from music to film, the next job could be newscasters, because you can pump AI with all the information that's extremely detailed. They can deal with copious amounts of information, as opposed to us hardworking journalists who then have to chase the story, check your sources, double check the sources before you put it out there, be accountable for what you write. They can eradicate all of that liability by having AI do it. So if there isn't a line of defense at every industry saying that you have to preserve the integrity of human creation, we could be obsolete very soon.
A threat indeed, and you make a valid point, that it is not all artificial in a way, because it does feed off from human. Right. I mean, so there's also that line. But Judita, let's move on to comedy now. What's this controversy about the Riyadh Comedy Festival about?
Oh, this is a fascinating one. So the Riyadh Festival is going from the 26th of September to the 9th of October. And it's got the biggest names in comedy that are going to be performing. And it's kind of tethered onto what we've been seeing happening in the past few years. If you think about what happened with the World Cup, what's happening with golf, what's happening with racing, the Saudis are pumping a lot of money. They have, I believe it's around $925 billion to pump into the public sector, and they are spending it. And lots of people around the world want a piece of it, because the issue with this that people have said, where there's been a lot of backlash towards these big names, is the Saudis have an atrocious human rights record. To think that this festival is going to be happening, is going to intercept with the 7th anniversary of the state-sanctioned assassination of Khashoggi, who was actually killed for free speech, and yet you're going there to bring attention and bring clout and bring notoriety to this country that doesn't actually serve the welfare of its own people when they do speak freely. And comedy is seen as the last bastion for free speech, where it's the one place where you can talk about anything, you can crack a joke about anything, because under the veil of comedy, you are truly free to go in any direction you choose artistically.
And some of these big names you talk about, Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Chris Tucker, Bill Burr. Now, these are some of the biggest names in comedy that are participating in this festival. Is this kind of backlash, something that their careers can actually bounce back from?
See, normally you would say yes, because in entertainment, people are fickle. Just do something successful, people will buy into it. But what you have to look is the time and the landscape, because we are operating during the time where here in the UK, across Europe, in the West, is the battle of immigration and identity and populism, nationalism. And then there's also the issues with what's happened, the genocide in Gaza. You've got a point where people are really being asked to stand firm in what you believe in, stand up for what you stand for. And most importantly is the value of human rights, because there's so many human rights violations happening that if you don't speak up now at this point in time, like they say, if you bend for everything, you stand for nothing. So I don't know if a lot of these names, because they're so famous, so many eyeballs are on them. And if you're seen to make this kind of compromise, which is seen as a compromise of the soul, can people truly believe in you when you now get on the stage at, I don't know, Madison Square Garden and crack jokes about horrible things that are going on in the Middle East, where you took money from the Middle East because lining your pockets was more important than standing up for the value of the average life? Will they bounce back from it? I don't know, because this coming at this particular time in history might be too big of a scar to be able to brush over in the future.
Julissa, just before we let you go, I wanted us to look at, perhaps the broader picture. Some say perhaps Saudi is trying to use this festival to reposition itself as, a place for culture, a rebranding, so to say. Do you think that they have misfired for a country who perhaps is trying to reposition and rebrand itself as a place for culture, arts, and all of that?
That point is really the heart of everything, because money talks. And what the Middle East constantly does and has done historically is proven just how far people will go when you find the right price. When they say that saying, everybody's got a price, it is true. If even Donald Trump has succumbed to they have a competition called Live Golf, he's endorsed it, he's played in it, because when there's a certain amount of money that only the Middle East is able to provide, people are so dazzled by what they previously thought was impossible. You have people who have birthday parties that will pay, I don't know, Rihanna 30 million for a 30-minute set. Not that that's actually happened, but I'm saying that these are the kinds of numbers they can push out. And what the Saudis are concertedly doing is trying to buy their way out of bad press. If you can position yourself as a place where people play golf, play football, Formula One racing, watch films, make films, do comedy, do concerts. Diversion is a wonderful way to divert people from the things they find unsavory. And once they rebrand themselves in that way, they position themselves in a more advantageous place within the global landscape, which will feed into a geopolitical rebranding of the Middle East.
And it seems to be working so far. Judita Da Silva, entertainment correspondent in London, thank you very much for giving us all the latest in the world of entertainment.